All right, let's dive into this AI thing, huh? It's kind of wild how it went from, like, sci-fi robots to being everywhere you look, even in the stuff we use every day. Remember when AI was all about, like, a machine making you a cup of tea?
And now every other app has that little sparkle icon. It's like what Luke was saying.
Totally. But it's way more than just a design fad, right?
Oh, absolutely.
No.
This isn't just about slapping some AI onto an old interface. This is this is about changing the entire way we interact with computers.
Like we're, I don't know, learning a whole new language to talk to our devices.
Exactly. What we're seeing now, and this is what's so fascinating, is this big shift towards what Lucas calls intent-based interaction. So it's less about telling the computer exactly how to do something step by step and more about telling it what you want.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So instead of, like, digging through a million menus to make the font bigger.
You just say, make this easier to read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does that actually work, though? Like, what does intent-based interaction look like in the real world? What are the, like, building blocks of it?
Well, Luke breaks it down into three main interaction patterns. So the first one he talks about is direct instruction. Basically, you're directly telling the AI what you want, almost like giving it a command, you know?
Oh, so it's like talking to one of those super-powered smart assistants, but on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, play some Beatles, it's more like, write me a blog post about the history of rock music.
Yeah.
Boom, the AI just takes it from there.
Exactly. And that's essentially what tools like ChatGPT are all about. It's all about direct instruction. You're guiding the AI's output by, well, the prompts you give it. But just like any other really powerful tool, there's going to be a learning curve. It takes some practice to get good at phrasing your requests in a way that gets you the results you want.
It's like learning a new language, right? You got to know the right way to ask for what you want. But then there's that other side of AI, the one that's almost dot invisible, like it's working in the background and you don't even realize it's there.
Right. That's Luke W.'s second pattern, behind-the-scenes AI. It can be as simple as personalized recommendations on something like Spotify, or as complex as algorithms filtering out spam from your inbox. Super convenient, but...
But it can feel like a total black box when it goes wrong.
Exactly. It's great when it works, but when it doesn't, it can be really tough to figure out what's going on behind the scenes.
So is there a way to get the power of AI without feeling like you're giving up control entirely? Like, is there a middle ground there?
That's where Luke W.'s third pattern comes in. AI assistance. Think of features like Microsoft Copilot. It integrates right into what you're already doing, offering suggestions, helping you complete tasks, but you're still the one in control.
Okay, so it's like having a super-powered sidekick instead of a whole new operating system. You get the benefits of AI without having to relearn everything from scratch. Like that.
Precisely. This type of AI assistance has the potential to be incredibly powerful, making us more efficient, more creative. But to really understand how we got to this point, we need to rewind the clock a bit. You see, one of the articles we have, AI, the first new UI paradigm in 60 years, it paints this fascinating picture of how we got here. Think about it. We went from punch cards back in 1945 to the command line interfaces in 64, and those basically dominated for decades.
Yeah. So we're really talking about a massive shift here, right? We're so used to telling computers exactly how to do everything, every little step.
Right, and for like 60 years, that was the paradigm. But with AI, we're moving away from giving the computer a recipe. Now it's more like we give it the outcome, what we want.
It's like we're finally teaching computers to speak our language.
Exactly, this intent-based interaction. It's a fundamental change in our relationship with technology.
That's really cool. But, and maybe this is just me overthinking things, what happens when the computer, like, misinterprets what you want? What about all those AI hallucinations everyone's talking about?
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely things to think about. AI isn't perfect, not yet anyway. And those imperfections, well, they come with their own set of challenges.
Right, like, just because we can tell a computer what we want doesn't mean it'll always get it right.
Exactly. And one of the articles we have, it talks about this case study from Google. They were building this AI tool called Velocity to help actually help their own developers code faster.
Interesting. So something super specific to coding.
It sounds that way, but it actually highlights this really important aspect of AI UI design that applies to everyone, not just programmers. They realize that getting people to trust AI systems, it really boils down to three core principles.
Ooh, I love a good list of principles. Hit me.
Okay, so the first one, and probably the most important one, is this idea of feedback loops. And I'm not just talking about like reporting bugs, you know. It's more like, think of it as having a conversation with the AI. Every time you give it feedback, Good or bad, you're helping it learn.
So it's like those thumbs up, thumbs down buttons we see everywhere, but hopefully it's a little more nuanced than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just I like this or I don't like this. It's more like you're telling the AI why.
Right, like why didn't you like that AI-generated suggestion? Was it factually wrong or just thought weird?
Exactly. That why is what matters. That kind of nuanced feedback helps developers understand how to actually make the AI smarter, how to tweak its decision making.
It's like training a really, really smart puppy.
Yeah.
You got to be clear and consistent if you want it to, like, get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's feedback loops was principle number 2.
The second one is all about control, or as the article puts it, steerability. It's like
Yeah.
you shouldn't feel like you're just along for the ride with the AI, right? You need a way to steer it, to kind of guide it in the right direction.
Yeah, so it's less, here's what I randomly came up with, and more, how about we try something a little more like this?
Yeah.
But how do you actually steer an AI? Give me some examples.
Sure. So one way is through what they call multi-turn dialogue. It's basically having an actual back and forth with the AI instead of just getting a one and done response. Like, think about those AI chatbots where you can actually, refine your request based on what it initially gives you.
Okay, so you're giving it more context, more clues about what you're actually looking for.
Right. And another way is through what they call contextual prompts. This is where the AI is smart enough to use information about like what you're working on, what's on your screen, that kind of thing, to give you smarter suggestions. It's like having an assistant who can actually anticipate what you need before you even have to ask.
Oh, that would be amazing. So steerability is really about having more of a collaboration with the AI rather than just being this one-sided thing. Okay, so what's the third and final principle for building trust?
All right, so the third principle is calibrated trust, which basically means remember that AI, even when it's really good, is still a tool.
It's not going to be perfect every time.
Right. We have to, I don't know, be a little skeptical, know when to trust it and when to maybe, go with your gut.
So don't just blindly accept whatever it spits out, no matter how fancy it looks.
Exactly. And that's where transparency is huge. We need to be able to understand, at least on some level, how the AI got to its conclusion. Like, what data is it using? What are the assumptions it's making? Because the more transparent these systems are, the more we, as users, can make smart decisions about when to trust them and when to be like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But with all this talk about AI design and users trusting AI, it makes me think of this big question that's been on everyone's mind lately. Is AI going to replace designers altogether? I mean, if it can design interfaces, what's left for the humans who've been doing that job all this time?
It's a question that's causing a lot of debate, and for good reason. One of the articles actually included this thread from a designer, Rahul Chakraborty. He's been thinking a lot about the future of UI design, with all this AI stuff happening. And his take is basically that no, AI won't replace designers, but it will completely change what it means to be a designer.
So less robots are taking our jobs and more robots are changing our jobs.
Exactly. He's predicting that AI is going to automate a lot of the, I don't know, the more tedious parts of the job, the stuff designers have to do every day, but isn't very creatively fulfilling.
So less pixel pushing and more big picture stuff. Honestly, that kind of sounds like a good thing for designers.
It could be huge for the industry. Imagine designers freed up from all that tedious work, right? They'd have so much more time to focus on things like strategy, creativity,
Yeah.
really solving those meaty design problems.
Yeah, that does sound pretty great in theory. But what happens when it's AI making all the design decisions? Won't everything just end up looking the same? Like a million websites that are all kind of bland because they were designed by the same algorithm?
I get that, and it's a valid concern. And actually, another article, this one by Arvid Astrom, it touches on this. He's saying, even if you have AI that can spit out like a zillion different design options, you still need a human eye to look at those options and say, this is the one that feels right.
Well, I like that. So it's like having one of those, those robot chefs they have now. You can chop the veggies, preheat the oven, whatever.
But you still need a chef who understands flavor to make it all come together.
Exactly. So the AI can handle the technical side of design, but it's still up to humans to bring that intangible something.
That element of taste. Being able to look at something and know how to make it better. Not just functional, but, delightful.
I love that. Okay, so maybe AI isn't going to replace designers entirely, but it's definitely going to change things. What skills do you think will be most valuable for designers in this new world where they're working alongside AI?
It's going to be about those uniquely human things,
Hmm?
Creativity, empathy, critical thinking, and like we were just talking about taste, those are the things AI still struggles with.
So it's not enough to just be good with design tools.
Oh,
You have to know which tool is right for the job and how to use it well, even if that tool is AI.
yeah, and I think this is key. You have to be able to work with the AI, not just see it as this thing that's going to replace you. Guide it, challenge it, and make sure that what you're creating together is something that actually enhances the human experience.
Because at the end of the day, we're not designing for machines, we're designing for people, right? And we can't lose sight of that.
100%. And that actually brings me to something that came up in a few of the articles, something that I think is worth really sitting with this idea of AI as a potential co-creator. So not designing for AI, but designing with it. Like, what if that was the goal?
Whoa. Okay, now that is a really interesting thought. What would that even look like? How do you collaborate with AI on a design?
Well, imagine if the AI wasn't just generating options, right? What if it was actually part of the creative process, offering suggestions, insights, maybe even playing devil's advocate a little, like a true thought partner?
That's kind of blowing my mind a little bit, but it also makes me wonder, how do you make sure the AI isn't just leading you down some crazy rabbit hole of its own making?
And that's exactly why all those principles we talked about, the feedback loops, the steerability, a calibrated trust, they're not just nice to haves, they're essential. They're how we make sure this collaboration actually works.
It's like any good partnership, right? You need to be able to communicate, to compromise, and to agree on what you're trying to achieve together.
Exactly. And who knows what incredible design solutions we might discover when we figure out how to work with AI instead of constantly worrying about it replacing us.
That's a great note to end on. As we all, dive headfirst into this whole new world of AI-powered everything, let's not forget that the most important design element of all is still us humans and our very human ingenuity. That spark of creativity, our ability to work together, that might just be the key to unlocking AI's true potential. So thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.